Let's have a quick review of the chapter. So, theme of the chapter is adolescence hero worship, subject to reality. Characters we have Sophie, Jancy, Jeff, Danny, Cassie, and other characters also we have discussed in detail in previous video. And then we have key points here. Sophie and Jancy, two adolescent girls, are returning home from school, discussing about their career. On reaching home, Sophie tells her brother Jeff that she met Dan Cassie, a football prodigy. Her father enters the room. He and Jeff discuss Cassie's footballing prowess. She later tells Jeff that she had a date with Cassie. He hardly believes her. On Saturday, the family goes to watch the match. United wins 2-0 and Cassie scores second goal. Jancy asks Sophie about her encounter with Cassie. Later, she goes to Canal away from city and waits for him on bench. Of course, he does not come because it is her fantasy. Nothing like that actually happened. She never met Cassie. It is like she is engulfed in her own imagination. She's webbed in her own imagination. So these kind of things are very common in adolescence, teenage years, where young minds, they often felt themselves to be taken away by some hero or some ideal whom they appreciate, and they somehow feel that these idols, these stars, are part of their lives. Till that, it's okay, but in Sophie's case, she has taken it a step ahead. She had got so involved, so engulfed her in her lie, that she started actually living it. Analysis. Going Places is a short story which reflects an adolescent desire for going places. Going places is basically students and an idiomatic phrase which refers to promising young person's likelihood of becoming successful and famous. The title Going Places captures the essence of story. Sophie, the protagonist of the story, is always imagining of going places, of being rich and famous, and it is from this point of reference that we can understand her nature and the reason why she acts the way she does. Her conversation with Jancy in the beginning of the story hints at tendency to romanticize about the future, and children, it's so common at your age to do that. She is indecisive about her career and switch from owing to boutique, then becoming an actress, to being a fashion designer. She has to do something sophisticated. However, her vague dreams of going places cut short when she enters her house. The small, cluttered house she lives in show that her economic condition is not at all sound. There is a drastic change of world Sophie inhabits. Earlier, when we had seen her indulge in intense daydreaming, the moment she opens her door, she is rudely awakened by the harsh reality, harsh fact of her life. She lives in, and all her castles built in the air collapse. Consequently, she feels little tightening on her throat. Also, soon after her realization, she goes to Jeff, her elder brother's room, and again begins indulging in world of fantasy. Her constant fantasizing of things, therefore, is not only a means of deriving pleasure, but is also desperate attempt at escaping from the reality she lives in. Simply put, her fantasizing and hero worship also, you can say, it's a means of escapism. Here in the chapter, reader is provided with an object where Sophie's emotion is projected. Sophie identifies with Bo and her mother's crooked back. Not only has she been toying with the idea of becoming fashion designer, Sophie has also just witnessed the crooked back of reality, her small cluttered house where the presence of her delicate dreams is completely out of place. The technique of projecting characters' emotions on an existing physical object shows effective use of literary device which makes use of objective correlative. The delicate bow on the crooked back makes an objective correlative of the complex emotions Sophie has at that moment. You know, the kind of person Sophie is, and the kind of situation she is put in, and they are like objectively correlative, right? There is nothing truth, there's nothing fact about her dreams. What is truth, what is fact, what is actually her life is that small crumpled house where her mother is overburdened with work and her father indulges in manual labor. Sophie's fantasizing is totally naive and harmless activity as long as she doesn't distort her perception of the real world. However, there are times when her imagination completely takes over her. A case in point is the scene where Danny scores a goal. Sophie glows with pride. In reality, she has nothing to feel proud about it. It's Danny's goal, not hers. However, she has internalized the hero worship to such an extent she feels to locate a personal connection with the player where none exists. We see the full display of her, tendency by the end of the story, where Sophie believes her story and acts on it by actually going to meet Danny. Going places, basically students explores the different realms of expectation, fantasy, desire, perception of an adolescent. In all probability, Sophie never met Cassie. Point to be noted that Sophie never met Cassie. Her temperament, as seen in the interaction with Jancy, her visit to Park, Danny's absence, all point towards fact that her interaction with Danny on Roy's window also never happened, except it was in her head. However, whether she did or did not meet Danny Cassie is not an issue. What is more important is the display of how one's fantasy and desire colors one's perceptions and shapes reality. Though Sophie might not have met Danny, she believes that she did, to the extent of going to the park, actually expecting him to arrive. This speaks volumes of the subjectivity of human experience and the perception of what constitutes the real, and that makes the whole lot of difference in an individual's life. But here, students, we are talking about totally a different world of hero worship and adolescence years, where young people try to search for these routes of escapism to take them away from their reality, to take them away from the real world. This is the analysis and explanation of your chapter.